Give a short introduction of myself. My name's Hakeem Bray. I will be graduating in mass media this upcoming May in the spring semester. This is for my senior seminar. We had to basically interview a previous alumni from the program from Valdosta State, and thank you for putting out the time and doing this interview. I really appreciate it.
Of course, thank you for having me.
So, we're going to go through first a little introduction of yourself, and could you tell us more on how you got to, like, after graduation? Can you tell us a little story about that?
Yeah, sure. So, after graduation, there's always that point of time between, graduation and employment. And I spent a good bit of that time looking into the mass media infrastructure. So, like, who was filming, which people were editing, and how things are being distributed. And I focused on the distribution process and found myself at a broadcast station in Atlanta. And I started working at Encompass Digital Media around February 2020. And I worked there for about a year and a half. And during that period, I was studying to get my CTNS certification, which is a broadcast engineering certification. And once I gotten certified, I applied for Warner Media, and now I'm a broadcast engineer at CNN.
Wow, that's awesome. Um, could you give us a little, day to day experience in your shoes? What all goes into your position currently?
I think a good thing to know about my current position is that everyone else outside of my
Sorry about that.
no, you're fine. A good thing to know about my position is that it's basically giving support to people who are working from home. So I entered the workforce during the pandemic, and so now when I do my work, it mainly entails people calling the company help desk in my department, me in particular, remoting into their devices like the computers, their amulet, their virtual desktop interfaces, and then I'll go in and like look at the metadata of files to see why something isn't transferring over, or looking at the metadata of files to see why something might have failed, and things like that. Um, so my day to day is me going to work. I go to the office, I log into my computer, and then I wait for calls from company employees asking for help for software and hardware, media applications, and then I remote into their devices and figure it out.
Now, I know that I think, previous work at the new media center at Valdosta State.
Yes.
How did that position, if it did, if any, did that help you with your current position or a position you got after you graduated?
Um, my job at the new media center certainly helped me with the position I got after I graduated. A lot of the skills transferred over as far as the way we log information, and the way you communicate with the corporate structure, with the way you communicate with the corporate ladder, also reflected very well with the academic ladder at school. So so a lot of the skills transferred over exactly for my first job at the broadcast station, and then you still learn or you still gain skills as you go up. So I still use a lot of the skills I learned at the new media center today, but it mainly helped at my first job.
And have you ever had to overcome any challenges on the way up to becoming your current position?
Yes. Um, the thing about our mass media program is that it gives you an overview of of the entire mass media structure. The thing I had to overcome was the specifics of the mass media structure. Was actually hunkering down and learning who's who really helped me maneuver throughout the corporate space, and it's helped me out considerably.
So I kind of think that for me or some of my peers, I feel like we're lightning in a bottle, and we just gotta narrow down and like focus on like a field within our industry
Uh,
to really be successful. Because I want to do a lot of things, but I also try to tell myself the center on something, because it kind of feels overwhelming when you try to do it all.
yeah.
And I think we forget like there we have teams for a reason. Like we have crew mates for a reason.
Mm.
So can you tell us about you being part of a team?
Of course. When I had first graduated from Valdosta and landed my job at the broadcast station in Compass Digital Media, I was a part of the multi-channel ingest team. And what ingest is when companies send us their files, like their media, audio, their video, audio, and picture files, and they send them to the ingest team. And it's ingest job to get them to transfer them into the system. That can be very overwhelming. But when you're working together, splitting up the workload, having clear communication with your teammates, it makes what would be unbearable a lot more manageable. And I think learning how to work together is very important in our field. It's one of the most important things in our field.
What advice would you give um, current mass media students and soon to be graduates on their like way to graduation? What things should they check off? Like resumes, either internships. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Definitely a good internship will help you, particularly in the area that you want to work in. So, like the Atlanta area, Savannah, the Buckhead, all those areas where things are happening. It definitely helps to get an internship or at least have a connect. Definitely do your research. Like learn about the mass media infrastructure and see who's doing what in your area. And you should get really far doing that because that way you're not flying blind.
Awesome. Um, what's been your favorite moment um, at your current position? Um, is it helping clientele, or is it something that you learned that you didn't previously know?
Definitely something that I learned that I didn't previously know. Um, One thing that's beautiful about mass media is that it encompasses a lot of different industries. Like it overlaps with almost all of the industries. And a part of that, since I work in broadcast news now, I've learned a lot of the hardware implications of the mass media that we use. So, like the devices that allow information to get from point A to point B is something that's really opened my eyes to the mass media industry and the inner workings of it.
And have you always been interested in news, or were you more into film, or is it just like the journey just that got you to film, or were you someone into like Marvel or DC Comics like type of studios or animation?
Well, I was always interested in film. I was primarily interested in entertainment media. However, entertainment media seems like a much harder field to break into. You know, News media turned out to be more available to me. And now that I'm here and it's allowing me to move up in my career, I don't regret it at all.
Now, do you believe that is there any way to one day, find that entertainment field that you were always looking for? And this is like prepping you for that? Do you feel like that's a possibility?
Yes, 100%. It's all media. The workflows of entertainment and news media are very similar. They aren't the same, but they are similar. At any moment past this moment, I could work in the entertainment field and be a useful asset.
Okay. Okay. Um, did you have like a dream position in entertainment?
Yeah. So my dream position in entertainment would be actually setting up the set. So putting together the cameras, routing the cameras to a receiver, and then routing that receiver to a switcher. And then that way we can record our video and then store it into a database for a later date. Yeah, just routing and rerouting systems. Yeah.
I'm all about, creating something new. Have you ever thought about creating your own type of, set or show and just building a team from the ground up? Is that a vision you have one day?
Yes. Um, with the technological boom that we're going through, virtual reality and augmented reality are going to make huge contributions to mass media. And there's a lot of software in virtual reality now that allows you to set up cameras and record from the camera's point of view. It's insane. So I think definitely a lot of new types of art will be coming out because of the new possibilities we have, capabilities. I mean,
That's very interesting. How next level is VR? If it's is it still in this infant stage and we barely scratched the surface, or is it on the brink of just exploding?
it's literally both. To be honest, the virtual reality is still in its infancy stage. Yeah, but it's more of a toddler now. The virtual reality is more in its toddler stage, but there's immense potential there, and so much can already be done in virtual reality that it's only going to get better. When will it explode? I don't really know, but it's going to.
So how should someone invest or try to be a part of that breaking industry? Because when I look at virtual reality, I think it's the second coming to, the cell phone. Like I don't think anyone really expected the cell phone to kind of do what it has done. And now we have basically hundreds of millions of people with a cell phone, like with an actual smartphone. So, um, who's to say that can't translate into virtual reality headsets or any type of virtual reality platform?
Well, as far as breaking into the virtual reality field, much like any field related to media, there are two sides to it. So the first side is the hardware end to it. What technology is being used and is being developed to create this new platform, or at least to create the device for us to access the new platform. And then number two is the software that's being used. And the software is like what kind of file type or what file of video does this platform take? And how can this file be transferred to other mediums? It's basically looking at things like that, looking at the possibility of what it is, even if that possibility hasn't been realized yet.
Interesting. Um, well, you sound very knowledgeable on this topic. I do know that Sony is developing or they're going to launch a PlayStation VR 2 headset. Um, if you were given the opportunity to basically be a developer or started on a team working on the new Sony headset, what would you bring to the table?
I would bring to the table, anyone would say a new set of ideas, but I'd bring to the table a new set of ideas. We'd look at how we can virtual reality